Upon my return from Cambodia, I got a job offer in Mandalay in Myanmar because I met some guy while I was in Myanmar, and he told me that there was a job opportunity and the salary was good. So I said to myself, well, I didn't have any job in Thailand at the time, and I thought, oh, that'd be interesting, and I could explore Myanmar even more. So I decided to take him up on his offer, and the school was very good. I spent an entire year there, and during this time I met up with my friend Zach as well, and Zach rented me out his Royal Enfield Himalayan motorbike. Forgot what year this was. It was probably 2016 or something like that. And so I spent an entire year there riding around and experiencing Myanmar on various types of motorbikes. And after I returned from Mandalay, well, actually it was 2019, not 2016. I'm getting, so many years, I'm getting confused. So once I returned to Thailand, it was already 2019, it was December, and me and Alistair had decided to make another trip down to Malaysia, and this was time before COVID. We didn't know COVID was coming, but we've heard about it, that it was spreading around the world. And so we said to ourselves, why don't we make another trip to Malaysia, because who knows if or when we'll be able to do it again. And so we did, and it was a wonderful ride, and it went, we were eating our curries, drinking beer at the bay, and had a nice time there. And then shortly afterwards, COVID started spreading even more, and so it turns out that we were not able to make any more motorcycle trips afterwards, and I ended up getting a job in Kyrgyzstan then, and that I'll tell you later about. Well, having finished our last trip to Malaysia, I set out to take up a job in Kyrgyzstan, and this was already like February, and I arrived in Kyrgyzstan. I barely started the job there, and I barely got to meet my students. I only met them for a few days, and then the government announced a complete shutdown and a lockdown because of the COVID virus. So next year, a full year, I spent just doing nothing. I ended up teaching online, and then finally, after almost a year, things started to get loosened up, and the restrictions were being curtailed and reduced, and so I was able to travel to Bishkek from Osh. I was in Osh in Kyrgyzstan, where the lockdown came, and after a year there, stuck doing nothing, maybe not a year, maybe 6, 7 months, and I was able to come to Bishkek, and Bishkek was less restrictive than Osh, and by the time a lot of the panic had been reduced, and I continued teaching online for the school, but from Bishkek, as it made no difference whether I was in Osh or Bishkek, and so I explored a little bit of Kyrgyzstan, and it was a wonderful country and a wonderful experience, and I got to see a lot of the country, the people, and so it was certainly a nice experience, minus the COVID, which was a nightmare for everyone. Well, finally, after a very long time, the COVID restrictions started to get abolished, and airlines started flying again, and Thailand cancelled their remaining restrictions and or greatly reduced the restrictions. So I was able to get back to Thailand, and it was just such a relief to be back. And after some time in Bangkok, I took a train to Udon Thani, and Udon Thani being like my second home in Thailand, I was finally able to wash off all the stresses of the COVID period, and so I was just chilling out there, going to my favorite pubs, which is the Irish pub in Udon Thani, and it survived the COVID, and the owners had changed, but the menus did not, and so I went to swimming pool at my favorite old hotel, and hanging out in the pub, and that kind of helped close the COVID chapter. Well, after Udon, I got a job offer in Chiang Mai, and I thought I always liked Chiang Mai, so I took a bus via Lampang to Chiang Mai, and Chiang Mai was very nice, but I needed a visa extension, so I decided to ride a bike to Pai. Pai being in the mountain in the Mae Hong Son province, and when I saw Pai, I just fell in love with it, and I wished I had visited it earlier, but better late than never, and so Pai made quite an impression on me. I was able to write there and focus on things, so I stayed in Pai for quite a while. And then I got a phone call from an old friend in Pattaya, and I decided to pay him a visit. And it was the first time I visited there after 20 years, so you can imagine the changes. And I was a bit surprised how things had changed there, and how the character of the town had changed. The nightlife was greatly reduced, but there were still just pockets left there, and so I spent a few nights in Pattaya, but then I decided that I want to come back to Pai, because Pai seemed to be like the most relaxed place I had experienced in Thailand, and so that's where I'm based now. Well, and that's about all I had to say. And out of the last 36 years, after my first arrival in Thailand, I probably have spent good 30 years being in Thailand, in and out, but probably 30 years is how much time I have spent in Thailand, and I have no regrets. I do not regret a single penny I had ever spent here, and it changed my life. I learned how to view things. I look at life differently. I look at people, relationships differently, the religion and everything, and it changed my life. I think that my views have been much broadened by this experience, and to this day I'm staying in Thailand as much as I can, and I'm still in contact with Alistair, but because of his health issue we are currently not able to make another trip down to Malaysia, and that's something I hope we can still do one day if his condition improves. And so I have spent 30 wonderful years in this country, in Thailand, and I absolutely love it, and I hope it stays that way, even though I like the old days better than now. I was younger, things were a little bit different, Nothing's perfect, but overall Thailand has been very good to me, and I have fantastic memories, and I still enjoy myself being here today. So that's all I wanted to tell you. Well, thanks for listening, folks. See you later. Bye.